Greetings, this is Fallon Heart. I am thinking of doing a bit of a purge on my channel, going through all of my videos and just getting rid of a shit ton of them and curating my channel better, like getting rid of a lot of the shitposty, like basic ass vloggy style videos and that kind of thing, and just basically having a more of a consistent style of video, if that makes sense. Now, this is just a thought process I've been going through today because I've been thinking about streaming because I really enjoy streaming. I've got a shit ton of games that I want to go through that will last me years the way it's going. I've been thinking about getting a capture card at some point so I can start doing it on like my consoles because I really enjoy it. And if I enjoy it this much, I could probably spread it out to different weeks at some point. But obviously, I don't want to burn myself out. Once a week is more than enough for me at this point. I get a lot out of it. But so it's not set in stone, but I am thinking of doing this because I have a shit ton of videos on my channel, and a lot of them are shit posts, a lot of them are nonsense, and a lot of them are really long, ranty, kind of like vloggy videos, which is probably what this is going to end up being. But this is going to be like the remember when I left the King community, and after a little while I got rid of a bunch of my old videos because I no longer agreed with them, or I said a few things that I didn't agree with. Or I was just tired of fucking defending myself in the comments and like, I'm done. I don't care about this anymore. And I just made one video on it kind of covering my basic perspective of, which I think I watched semi-recently and I still kind of agree with a lot of that. I do think I called it Subconscious Animal Association. Something like that. Kind of pretentious. I've always been kind of pretentious. Or at least I'm very, what's the word? I want to say sensitive, but maybe I have a little bit of a, I believe myself to be pretentious. That's probably the best way of putting it. It's probably just a bit of insecurity. But yeah, so one of the things I'm thinking of is my social issue and political issue videos. Now, I'm not going to go full-on fucking censorial, like censorship bullshit, like, all this is, these are bad thoughts, let's get rid of them, let's be a censored, highly curated bullshit channel just like everyone else in an attempt to make money, because I've said this before, like, I don't want to be a huge channel because I don't think I could cope with that much attention, and I don't really want to monetize the channel because I'd have to get rid of so much shit. I'd have to deal with the copyright system all the fucking time, and quite frankly, I just can't be arsed. I don't want to just randomly wake up one day to have my channel just gone. And I just don't want to deal with it. But in terms of what this channel is, this channel has, first and foremost, for the entirety I've had it, been an outlet. It's been an outlet for my frustrations. It's been an outlet for my interests, my passions, just my creative spirit, which is a bit weird me saying that. Like, I guess, I mean, I'm not really much of a photographer anymore. Truth be told, my passion for that kind of faded away a few years ago. I hinted at that in stream recently. You know, I still look back at some of my old photographs, but I've lost the passion for it. I don't know what it was, but I think what it is I've just not done it much. I think if I took up the camera again and started going to zoos and whatnot and like started, you know, shooting wildlife again, I'd get back into it. But because I've not done it properly in a while, I've just kind of, it's faded away. But yeah, so all this to say, I'm thinking of doing this. So what this video is going to be is kind of an overview of every one of these political, social discussions that come up and give you my basic take on a lot of this stuff, just so it's all in kind of one video. So the thing that kind of is at the crux of a lot of this discussion is, and the word that I use all the time is tribalism. The channel as it stands that I kind of see myself the most in on YouTube is Short Fat Otaku, Dev. He's a centrist, and he has takes on a lot of these topics that are way more intelligent than I can really comprehend in a lot of this stuff. But for the most part, like, I wouldn't say everything. There's probably a few things that I disagree with, but for the most part, I'm kind of on board with a lot of his opinions. I kind of agree with him. I like how, like, he's a centrist that isn't married to the center. Because there are centrists that just basically boil down to the center always has the right answer. This is obviously this is a constant criticism with a lot of things. But what a centrist actually is taking the points from both sides that make sense, or either side that makes sense. And sometimes the truth is somewhere in the middle. A lot of the time the truth is somewhere in the middle, but sometimes one side is just right. And that's the opinion you take at that point. And I don't consider myself a centrist because I honestly can't think of many right-wing viewpoints that I hold. But again, my view of the left and right is very much the 90s left and right. And I view what a lot of the left has become is a bastardization. In fact, very little different to what the right was at the time. So let's go into a few of my grievances. Let's start with the right, because the majority of people find criticizing the right more palatable than the left, right? So let's start with the right, because that'll be easier to keep people watching. I think the best example I can give to this is probably the Lotus Eaters. I do watch the Lotus Eaters, and I find myself getting very irritated with their takes a lot of the time, because they seem to like to think of themselves as the new right, the more advanced, culturally aware right. But they still push the old bullshit. You know, religions, well, specifically Christianity, is the most important thing. Even if a lot of them aren't actually Christian, they still push it as having good values. You know, despite the fact that it is often used as a moral, authoritarian, like, bludgeon to hit people over the head and basically control them, much like wokeism is now. You know, but there's a reason why I call things like feminism or wokeism a religion, and it's because it operates in much the same way as Christianity does, or any religion does, when it has a lot of power. But they're on the right now. They push Christianity all the time. They defend Christianity all the time. They're constantly going about traditional gender values. Basically, everyone needs to go through this path in life. You get an education. You have kids. You live your entire life in working or in servitude. Job, education, working on a kid, working on a relationship, marriage, all that kind of thing. Your entire life is just basically in servitude to someone else. And that's a very pessimistic kind of view of it. For some people, children are the most glorious thing in the world. It's what they've wanted all their life. For my mother, that's what she wanted all life. She adored children. Me, I don't like them. I've never liked them. I will never like them. I can tolerate them, but I'll never like them. And there are one or two members of my family that are like that, but most of them are more like my mother. They like kids. I think the majority of people come under the category of liking kids and wanting kids, and the traditional kind of life actually works for them. That's the thing. I'm not against the traditional path, right? I'm not against it. It does wonders for some people. And if you want the traditional path in life, then have at it, and do not let anyone tell you it's not the right path for you. However, there's more than one path in life, and the traditional path does not work for people. A lot of people find it very restrictive. A lot of people find it very controlling and, quite frankly, depressing. I hate the idea of having kids. To me, that would be a form of hell for me. I do not like children. I do not want to be stuck with them. I don't like the idea. That sounds like hell to me, right? And they always push the traditionalism. Basically, if your goal in life is not to have kids, then you are a degenerate waste of life that are probably into drugs and a bunch of other things. Conservatives. They push that. They tolerate the LGBT. The biggest change in the right in recent years is they've moved to tolerating the LGBT. And I use that word very specifically. They don't accept the LGBT, they tolerate them. They put up with them because they can be useful. You might remember a video I did a while ago moaning about Milo Yiannopoulos and how he basically... He dumped his boyfriend, and he's planning on starting up a fucking conversion therapy thing. He believes that basically if he prays enough to Jesus, he can pray the gay away, and he wants to do that for other people. This is what happens to so many gay conservatives. It's unfucking believable. It's a tale as old as time. This happens all the fucking time. And it's just, well, gay and religious, and it's just no. It's how you're born, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing inherently wrong with, homosexuality, just like there's nothing inherently wrong with heterosexuality. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. You know, and, you know, again, my issue with religion. And they will put up with the LGBT because they're useful to have on your side. And that's kind of it. But you can tell from people like the Lotus Eaters that they have no respect for them. They have even a bit of disdain for the LGBT as a whole. Not just the crazy ones, but as a whole. There's a very thinly veiled just disdain. Like looking down on these people, regardless of who they are. And it's obvious. And this is consistent. Racism, I don't think, is a thing. Maybe with a few very more old-fashioned. I think that's one. I think that's one right-wing talking point, that left-wing talking point against the right that doesn't really apply anymore. Maybe to some right-wingers, but for the most part, I think race. The fact is, like in America, let's say, there's a lot of traditionalist black people, right? A lot of black people are traditionalists. A lot of black people have far more conservative values than they do left-wing values, despite the fact that the left basically claiming the black people as their property. You know, you vote for us, you're our demographic. You know, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Yeah. So I don't really think racism is much of a thing. Maybe you can find the odd example, but for the most part, it is like the LGBT kind of stuff for them. But I also don't like how the left basically handed the right freedom of speech. The fact is that freedom of speech is a party-less value. It should be a global value. And here's the kicker. If you are not willing to defend the right for people to say shit that you personally find to be abhorrent and disgusting, you do not believe in freedom of speech. If you only agree for the right to people to say things that you agree with, or you at least don't hate, then you don't agree with freedom of speech. It's that simple. And the fact is that freedom of speech is a very, very difficult thing to defend, because ultimately you find yourself defending not the words, but the right to say words that are absolutely fucking disgusting. Now, this doesn't mean that you agree with the words. It doesn't mean that you like the words. In fact, part of freedom of speech is disagreement. Somebody could say the most abhorrent, disgusting shit you can imagine, and the person who believes in freedom of speech was like, you have the right to say that. But my fucking God, you degenerate, disgusting piece of shit, why the fuck would you say that? Why would you think that? That's freedom of speech. You know? They can call me a disgusting piece of shit. I can call them a disgusting piece of shit. We can all call each other a disgusting piece of shit. We can have a conversation where we call each other a disgusting piece of shit. That's freedom of speech. It doesn't go away just because you don't like what they're saying. And the right wing are just as willing to silence someone as the left wing is when they find something that they say disgusting. They're just as, you see it all the time. In the 90s, that's what the right were. They were a bunch of censorship happy authoritarian twazics, and exactly what the left are now. My issue with the left. I am left wing. If you watch my channel, you'll probably hear me use a lot of left wing talking points. You'll hear me use a lot of left wing like vocabulary. However, I don't tend to come to the same conclusions as they come to, or the same endpoint as they come to. I have similar values, but I don't subscribe to feminism. I don't subscribe to wokeism. I don't subscribe to intersectionality, because intersectionality is an insane amount of bullshit that you have to juggle. That you cannot be consistent while juggling. You just can't, because a lot of these things clash. Once again, we get into the... Well, I'll just... Ultimately, the biggest issue with watching the is watching left-wing stuff, is I'm the devil. I am a heterosexual... Okay, I'm demisexual, but I'm demi, right? So, again, that is something a conservative will never fucking say. The Lotus Eaters do not recognize any of that shit. They really don't. I'm surprised they even recognize homosexuality or bisexuality. Never mind that. Like, you do not recognize shit. They have mocked this shit before. They don't recognize that shit. And I'll tell you, a few years ago, I didn't recognize any of that shit either. But as the years have gone by, I have adopted some of the extra stuff that I think makes sense. And that is just an extension or a variant of asexuality. That's all it is. It's a variant of that, right? And it's a variant that makes sense. Especially if you... Because what a lot of people... What a lot of the right wing will say about that is, oh, it's just being traditionalist. It's just being... It's basically... It's an answer to how promiscuous the modern day society is. It's like, no. Because normal people will see someone and they can picture themselves having sex with them. That's what they'll do. Their carnal, animalistic instincts will kick in, and they'll be like, I want to do that person. You see people do this all the time. It's not the action, it's the thought. You can have these things and be more, conservative with your choices. You don't have, you're not an animal. You're not just going to run up and start humping someone. And like, if you're not just going to say yes to every opportunity, you're more discerning than that, right? That is what they think it is, but it's not that. It's, you don't have those thoughts. You don't have those thoughts until you actually really develop an emotional connection with someone first. It's not being discerning with your choices. It's literally just not having those kind of thoughts. Now, I can do it with fictional characters and things like that, like from shows and books and games and all that kind of thing. I can do it with fictional characters, but fictional characters aren't real. A lot of that is imprinting or projecting ideals. And especially if I've played through a game and I know a character, for example, then of course I can feel that way towards that character because I already know that character. I have an idea. And a lot of writing uses tropes, and they don't tend to be as deep and varied as real people. So, but again, for some demis, that's not the case. Separate matter. But what was I getting at? I'm a heterosexual white male, and I am not uncomfortable with my gender or my sex. I am not uncomfortable. I don't hate being a man. I quite like being a man. Although I have said on many occasions, if I could do and become a woman, I would, because I'd miss my beard and I'd miss the upper body strength, but ultimately I'd also miss peeing standing up. But ultimately, I do generally believe that life would be a hell of a lot easier if I was a woman. A hell of a lot easier. People would generally give a shit about me as a human being and my opinions, and not just mock me and assume that I'm a sexist, evil piece of shit because I want men to have consideration and not just be viewed as tools. So the left wing pisses me off because me simply existing, I'm the devil. I am their devil. I am the category of the devil. A heterosexual white male who does not hate himself for his gender, is not uncomfortable with his gender or his sex, right? So my category is the sole major reason for all the evil in the world, past, present, and future, in every culture. And it's like people will the left wing will callously shit all over men. We're all abusers. We've all got toxic masculinity. If you complain about them doing this is just your fragile masculinity talking, your toxic masculinity. You're just jealous that you don't control the world anymore. When the fuck have I personally controlled the goddamn world? It's like, oh, well, men suffer under patriarchy too. Then why the fuck is it called the patriarchy? If men suffer under it, why is it named after men? Could it be that it's an elitist hierarchy based on extremely powerful people, of which women are a part of as well, that shits over the poorer people on a regular fucking basis? No, it's men. Okay. I can't stand feminism. I can't stand wokeism. Everything's a race issue. Everything's a sex issue. Everything's a gender issue. Everything is a fucking identity issue. It's just people are judged and put into categories based on what identities and oppression signifiers they have. And they are judged accordingly. It doesn't matter who a person is, what they've done, it doesn't matter. If they have these characteristics, they are better or worse and equal of different treatment to another person. It's fucking disgusting and it's absolutely illiberal. But that's what the left is now. Marxism. That's what it is now, and it's fucking disgusting. The modern left go against so many left-wing values that I have as a left-winger. They're not left. They're just not. It's wearing the skin, and we've seen this happen time and time. They come in and they take terms that are legitimate, such as triggers. They take concepts that are actually good, such as safe spaces, and they bastardize the fuck out of it. Racism is no longer something people just believe. Sexual assault is no longer something people just believe. All these kind of things. It's like, a lot of people find themselves asking, okay, but really, was it racism? Was it sexism? Was it homophobia? Was it actually sexual assault? Or did they just look at you and you didn't like it? Because there's been so many cases of crying wolves, so many cases of extending the fucking truth, so many cases of just attacking people. And yeah, it's crazy. And there are a lot of people who will just dismiss everything I've said, just like there's a lot of right-wingers that will just dismiss everything I said before. Because people are tribal. And that's the biggest thing. People are fucking tribal. People don't think for themselves. They just watch what their side is doing and like, alright, that's the right thing. We currently have a argument going on right now on Twitter. It started a little while ago, right? Where people are now having an identity in what kind of stove they have. Apparently right-wingers have gas stoves and left-wingers have electric stoves because electric's better for the environment. It's like, I have a gas stove. You know why I have a gas stove? Because that's what's in the house. If I were going to get another one, I'd probably get another gas stove because that's what I'm used to. And the one time I was forced to use an electric stove, it was fucking shit. I might as well have used a kiddie stove. Now, they might have been a much better. It might have been a cheap shit one. I don't know, but I'm going to get what I'm used to because that's what most people do. There's not one that's better or worse than the other. I mean, in fact, one might actually be better or worse than the other. I don't fucking care. I'm gonna use what I'm used to. I'm gonna use what's in my fucking house. That's what most people do. But we have freaking right-wingers posting pictures of them having all the hobs on full fucking blast, wasting so much fucking gas and shooting up their fucking bills just to own the libs. Are you fucking serious, man? Are you fucking serious? This is a legitimate thing that's going on right now. We are at a point where if one side says oxygen is real, the other side will say no it isn't. That's how we are right now. And it's insane. The trans topic has become insane. Look, I have trans people in my life. I care about trans people. I have a lot of sympathy for trans people. If you are trans, your life is inherently harder. It just is. You're living in a body that does not fit how you are. I've had a mild bit of body dysmorphia or dysphoria, whichever one it is, I can't remember, from losing weight, right? And I still struggle with it. In fact, I think I'm annoying some of my friends at this point because every time they see them, I complain about putting weight on. I've become obsessive with it, right? And I after a while, I looked myself in the mirror and it didn't look like me. I wasn't used to seeing me. And I was in this awkward case where I was looking back on pictures with me and I looked fucking so fat and bloated and horrible. I didn't recognize that at the time. But now that I've lost a lot of weight, I look thin and gaunt. But it's like, if sometimes if I don't look as gaunt, you know, if I don't look as gaunt, I'm like, oh shit, I put weight on. I'll look at myself and I'll think I've put so much fucking weight on. And I obsess over it because I'm terrified of becoming a fat fuck again. Right? And that's just with one mild thing. Imagine if my entire body was off because I wasn't the right sex. That is nightmarish. I have so much sympathy for trans people because that is horrible. I would not want to live that, right? And I can understand them wanting stuff in place to help them feel more like what they feel inside. I get it, right? And on top of that, because of if they go through medical stuff, that's more expensive. People are struggling to find money for things in general. You know, on top of that, the dating options get fucking slashed. There's a reason why most reasonable trans people are pansexual, and it's because they want as many options as fucking possible. You don't change your sexuality, but I think there might be something connected there with, like, there's a realization. You know, but it's their dating options are just sliced in half, and there's so many issues and so many like horrible, just I'm just going to use the word, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to use the word disgusting side effects and things that trans people have to deal with if they go through surgery, right? None of it's easy. However, the T has become the LGBT. The L's are now called like white supremacists, alt-right people, because they don't want to sleep with people who are biologically male. The gays are men, so automatically evil according to intersexual. This is not everyone, but there's a decent amount of people who say that gay people are fucking like women haters because they don't sleep with women. And nobody considers the bi people at any point anyway. Bi people are just called whores. It's like, that's always been a thing. So the only, when people talk about the LGBT now, they mean the T. The other groups don't matter. They mean the T. On top of that, because of intersectionality and wokeism, there are way too many people that are accepting of MAPs, minor attracted people. Their nice, fluffy, warm word for pedophiles. And look, this isn't just something libs of TikTok is fucking posting about, right? There's documentation and all kinds of like examples of people within the field talking about this being a fucking problem. I understand if you're trans, wanting to get to it as early as possible, so when you do go through puberty, you're going to end up sounding and looking more like the gender you identify as. I understand that. That makes sense. And if someone is actually trans, then getting it before puberty does make sense from a mental health perspective. But I'm sorry, you are such a minor part of the community, like a minor percentage, and the risk of basically mutilating a people who are going through what is now trendy, and it is trendy. It's not just people feeling more comfortable, especially in an era where people are screaming about transphobia 24/7. It's not, that might be the case for some, but it is trendy. Who are the majority of people that are going through this right now? Young girls. Who are the people that always, out of any demographic, are the biggest, are the most influenced by trends and fashion? Young girls. Statistically, considering what minor the population of trans people is, if you just let any young person go through with this, and don't say it doesn't apply to kids, because not officially, but basically, yes, it does. They are doing it. You're going to catch so many people who would later on grow up to be gay, lesbian, bi, or, like me, autistic. And I've had issues with my gender identity. I've had issues with my sexuality before. I thought that I might be bi. I thought that I might be gay. For years, I have thought this. I've not been sure for a long time, alright? If I was raised in an environment where this is constantly being pushed on me and constantly being pushed on me, I might have actually believed that I was trans. Legitimately. I dated a girl at one point, long before all this became a common thing, where she tried to tell me that I might be gender neutral. Or gender fluid. Because I wasn't a walking stereotype of what a man is. I was more effeminate than is usual, and I still think I am. I feel like more of a man now than ever before, but I still think that I'm far more feminine than is typical. My interests in things, and like how I move, and how I'm willing to express certain things. I do have more feminine traits than is typical for a man. That doesn't make me a woman. That doesn't make me anything near like a woman. I can be as masculine as I want Like, a woman can be as masculine as she is and still be a woman. A man can be as feminine as he is and still be a woman. Sorry, and still be a man. Masculinity and femininity does not dictate whether or not you're male and female. Which is a very, very left-wing stance that was the arguing point at one point. At one point, boys and girls' toys didn't exist. I've told this story so many times where I chose ponies in McDonald's years ago because I cared more about animals than I did some random action dude, right? Ponies were more appealing to me because I liked animals, not war. Boys, it didn't mean that I was a little girl, but today, these days, you know there will be people saying that, oh, I'm not non-binary or I was trans, because that's how these people work now. You cannot sacrifice a large proportion of the population on the chance that some of them will end up actually being trans. When I was younger, I got into goth. Before goth, there was punk. After goth, there was emo. After emo, there was scene, right? And what do all these have in common? They fucked with gender. They fucked with gender norms. They fucked with societal norms. They had fashions attached to them. They had a culture attached to them. They had social issues attached to them, right? The amount of teenagers that talked about suicide during the emo phase is insane. Because it was trendy. And it just was. Some of them might have actually been that way, and they found solace in that community. But take it from someone who suffers from mental health issues, that has suffered from mental health issues. The worst place you can go is a group of people that suffer from mental health issues, because that fucking feeds into you and it makes you feel worse. You get stuck in an echo chamber where things get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. This is the reason why groups like Gays Against Groomers have popped up, and the LGBT Alliance, because gay people, LGBT people, yes, I'm including the T because this is not all trans people, this is not remotely all trans people. A lot of trans people just want to live normal fucking lives away from this shit. There are a lot of people within the LGBT who are just normal, everyday fucking people that are tired of this bullshit. There is so much that has gone back, has been taken back, has been gone back years. So much progress that has been just completely erased because people have become fucking zealots. These people have become no different from the evangelical Christians that beat people over their head with their morality, their version of morality. You have to believe just like us, otherwise you're the devil, over and over and over and over again. It's the exact same mentality. It's the exact same process as these Christian religious pieces of shit that forced their belief system on everyone around them. It is the new cultural religion. It is the new cultural religion. You don't have crosses everywhere. You have the progressive, specifically the progressive pride flag everywhere. Because I still have rainbows. Like, there's one in the corner over there. I still have rainbows. I still love rainbows. I still will wear rainbows. There's a rainbow back there as well. I have them all over. I wear them. It's a symbol I care a great deal about, right? Can you see how angry this makes me? Because I care about human rights. I do care about the LGBT. I'm not some hateful person that hates them. I give a shit about them. Part of the reason that I hate what's going on is because gay, bi, and lesbian fucking youth are being sucked up in this. I care about it because I have not seen as much legitimate hatred towards the LGBT as I have in the last few years. Why? Because you people have gone fucking insane. You push an animal against the wall and hit it and hit it and hit it, and it's gonna lash out. It's gonna see every human as the exact same monster. And that's what's happened. People are sick of it. People see this symbol as an oppressive symbol now. That should not be that. It takes all colours to make this world shine bright. That is what the rainbow is. And it's been ruined. the whole sports issue. Trans people should, in my opinion, trans people are socially the gender they identify as. Biologically, their sex, right? When you are socially the gender you identify as, that is what matters the vast majority of the time. It's not your business what's in other people's pants. It's not your fucking business. If you identify as male or female, day-to-day life doesn't fucking matter what your sex is. That's what you are, male, female. I don't acknowledge non-binary, I'm sorry. Because, again, non-binary goes against my whole view of a man and a woman can be bloody anything, regardless, can have any mixture of masculinity or femininity, and they're still a man or a woman, right? And a lot of non-binary just is like people like me who see them they're born one sex and they see more of the opposite sex than is typical in them, and they're like, well, I can't be the entirety of that. Again, like that ex of mine suggested that I might be gender fluid. That's where it starts. No, I'm a man. I'm a man that is more feminine than is typical, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm still a man. I don't need a new label for it. I don't need a new name. I'm just a man. Because there's nothing abnormal about it. I'm just a fucking man. But yeah, like, trans woman comes in, they're a woman. Trans man walks in, they're a man, right? That simple. However, sometimes the biology matters. If you're told that you have testicular cancer and you're a trans woman, you don't suddenly be... You're not suddenly a man, like, socially, but you've got to acknowledge your biology, because that's serious and you need to get that sorted, right? If you are entering in professional sports, casual sports, it doesn't fucking matter, but if you're entering in professional sports, if you have gone through puberty, as a man, male puberty, you have an advantage. You just do. We can't ignore it. Yes, being on estrogen will lower that advantage in comparison to other biological men, but you still have an advantage. Again, this is one of the things that makes being trans hard. It's another shit stick that you have to deal with for being trans. It sucks, but it's just the reality of things. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. As a man, you have a physical advantage. A man... Well, sorry. The language is so confusing. I'm trying not to discredit trans people while talking, but it gets very finicky. Because our language isn't built for this. A biological male at the top of their physical game will always have an advantage as a biological woman at the top of their physical game. It's just the way of things. Male sport is just sport. There's no man sport, there's just sport. And then there's a women's version of it. Because they can't compete against the men. They just can't. So if you have trans women going into female sports, it is just going to be trans women versus trans women. That's what it's going to end up being. And there will be people who will put themselves through this fucking hell. Because, newsflash, training that fucking hard is hell. Normal exercise is hell. Training to that level is fucking hell. You need to be a dedicated person to go through all that. So yes, there will be people who will go through all this bullshit and identify as this just to get an advantage. There will be people who do that. And that's what it's going to end up being. Women will have to come up with another version of sport in order to have their own way of competing. And there's no real way around it either, because not all trans people are the same. There are some trans people that pass better, that have less of the advantage, that have more of the advantage, and it can't so evenly be placed into, like, you can't evenly you can't just say, well, they go in this team, they go in this team. And then if you judge it based on how they perform as individuals, then that gets muddied and that gets confusing, and you can't give them their own category because there aren't that many trans people in the world. And again, that's just going to be dominated by trans trans women again. So it's just like, it's an impossible situation. It's just an impossible situation. If you want to be caring about this without fucking anyone over as little as possible, it's just going to end up shit for the trans people, because they, being trans, their life is worse because they have disadvantages, and we can't screw over other people's lives just to make them feel better. We just can't. They're such a minor percentage of the population that by doing that, it creates more hatred. And that's what's happening with women's sports. Again, so it matters in that, and it matters in dating as well, because biology matters. All right. It's like, even someone that passes like Blur White, I couldn't, because she's biologically male. Doesn't matter what she looks like, doesn't matter what she sounds like, she's biologically male. And if I was with someone and I found that later on they were biologically male, I would feel violated. And a lot of people would feel that way. It's not because trans people are disgusting or anything like that. It's because I slept with a man. And I'm not into men. That's how it works. Okay, they're not socially male, but biologically they are. And they're I could not date a trans person, because trans women are biologically men and trans men are men. So this goes both ways. I could not date a trans person because a trans woman is biologically male and a trans man is socially male. That's how it works. And there's even bi people that can't do it either. I don't know how they go around it, but yeah. It's shitty. I feel bad for trans people. I really do. But you don't choose your sexuality. You just don't. And you can't deny reality. And that's what makes shit harder for trans people, because they're in this situation that is just painful. All this considered, it's no wonder why the self-deletion rate is so high. Because they're just in a shit position. And I don't know what the answer is to help them that doesn't screw other people over. Yeah, the bathrooms debate. The bathroom debate is funny because it's always trans women that come into it, because we never talk about trans men, just trans women, because men are the only people who are predators. And this is where the conservatives start using the old feminist talking points that all men are predators. You know, because, you know, a biological woman would never be a predator. It's just the trans women you have to watch out for. You know, bathrooms are awkward because, on one hand, I'm not in a bathroom to socialize. I'm in a bathroom to use the bathroom. So, to me, mixed bathrooms make sense. That doesn't bother me. I'm not looking at anyone. I don't want to interact with anyone. I just want to go in, do my thing, and fucking leave. That's it. Now, the exception to this being, of course, schools. Because during schools, they're going through changes, and kids are assholes, kids are idiots. There would be problems if you mix them. It just is that simple. Now, I know gay people exist, I know bi people exist, but they're not as common as straight people, so that's why things are built around straight people, because that's what the majority of people are. So, you know, there's still gonna be, you know, issues, but not on the level as if they were mixed with kids. But as adults, yeah, like, mixing just makes sense to me. That being said, it's undeniable that it would increase the list of assaults, especially when it comes down to alcohol and things like that, because when people are drunk, people are even bigger idiots than when they're sober. And like, there's a lot of women out there that just grope men and laugh it off and get away with it, because again, a woman can't sexually assault a man because men don't matter. Women must be protected, men must be used. That's pretty much the mantra. But, and again, there are male predators, there are female predators. It would increase because there would be more opportunities for it. And it really is that simple. There would be more opportunities for it. So, whilst I personally, as a law-abiding, decent person, as most people are, wouldn't be against mixed toilets, mixed bathrooms. Logically speaking, it does make sense for them to be separated because it would just increase the chance, right? Now again, the trans issue is difficult because I've used this example before, but would you want Blair White walking into the men's bathroom? No. Would you want Bunty King, I think that's his name, walking into the woman's bathroom? No. Because it makes no fucking sense. But the problem with that is then you essentially come down to judging it by how well trans people pass, which is kind of shitty. Do you have to have like somebody outside the door basically going, no, you don't pass, fuck off, no, you don't pass, oh, you pass, you can go in? Like, nah, that's no. That's really fucking shitty. So it's like, what do you do? You know what you do? And like anything, it's an opportunity, so predatory people will take advantage of it, right? And honestly, my answer is I don't know. I don't know. Much like with the other, I don't know. Because I'd want a trans person to be able to use the bathroom of their identity. I would, because why the fuck wouldn't they, you know? And again, like, my basic view is, like, people are in there to just do their thing and leave. And assaults happen anyway, predators exist regardless, but it does give them more of an in. It does give them more of an advantage, especially if no effort is supposed to be put into it. Just shove a random cheap wig on, wear some feminine clothing, bingo, you're done. But it's like, how do you become more like a woman? Do you have to dress in a very feminine way? And we see people do that. At which point they actually become more. A lot of them become more like a cartoon caricature of a woman than a normal ass woman. Because it comes down to like, how does a biological man appear more like a woman? By jumping into stereotypes. That's ultimately what it comes down to. They just jump into stereotypes. And I don't know. And then there's more to it than just the way you dress. And because again, women don't talk like this. Yeah, woo, women are just normal ass people like anyone else. They're not these uber girly, frilly, innocent little children kind of people. They're fucking people. They're not all these stereotypes that you've seen in cartoons and 50s media. Like, how is it done? It really gets into the philosophy of it, and I don't know what the answer is. I just don't know what the answer is. But yeah, it's like a lot of this is the LGBT stuff, and it's because that's things I care about. Like it's. Let's move on to something else. The environment, right? Climate change is real. Fuck off conservatives. It's real. Fuck off left-wingers. No, the world isn't going to end in 12 years. You've been saying that for more than 12 years. Repeatedly. It's always 12 years, because 12 years is close enough to feel real, but further enough that something can be done with it, but at the same time, it can also be put off long enough that nobody fucking notices. So it's like, climate change is real. We've seen it's been examined. We've seen it. It is real. There's the environment was unstable during the time of the dinosaurs as well, and around that period, because there were a lot of active volcanoes actively spewing this shit out in the atmosphere in general. So a lot of the atmosphere is unstable at that point. Well, we're doing more of it now. We can see the effects of it affecting small animals like birds, especially fish and reptiles. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. You can deny all you want. It's a real thing. Alright? Right-wingers can deny all they want. It's a real thing. Left-wingers, stop acting like the sky is falling. The sky has been falling to you guys since I was a little kid watching Ferngully. And not much has changed. Things have changed, but they're not... We're not... It's not the fucking end times. We're nowhere near the end times. But you'd be blind to think that there's been no effect. Stop with the doomsday talk, right? And stop putting all the fucking changes on us, the normal ass people. The fact is, we've got countries like America and China and all this kind of things spewing out trash on a regular basis, and apparently we'll fix all the problems if we change our stoves to electric or like turn off all the electricity in the house every night. Maybe if enough people will do it, it will affect something, but it's like the only way for climate change to really work is like to really be solved is for it to be profitable. That's it. You're not going to appeal to people's morality. You're not going to guilt people when doing this makes their life severely harder or more expensive. You're not going to do it. It needs to be profitable. That's the only way. It needs to be profitable and it needs to be convenient and not the opposite. It's just not happening. It is something to be concerned about. It's not the doomsday you guys make it out to be. Stop fucking doing that, because eventually people grow up. They've been hearing the same bullshit and they've not noticed much of the changes. There have been changes, but they've not noticed much of it. Not like what you people are saying, so they all think it's bullshit. You cry wolf enough times, and a fucking puppy is not going to be what people are expecting. You know what I mean? Can you see where I'm piggy in the middle a lot of these fucking issues? It's like, what else could we get into? Fitness. In men's circles, I'm a man's rights advocate, right? You've got this by now. In men's circles, we've got people, so many guys, treating the gym like it's the be-all, end-all. You go to the gym, woo, you're good. Every problem in your life is solved because you've got in shape and you've put on a shit ton of muscle. Every problem is solved once you do that. That's how these guys talk. Right, that's how these guys talk. And you get clowns like Andrew Tate with his fucking leather jacket, his sunglasses, looking like Johnny fucking Bravo without the hair, saying some of the dumbest shit you could imagine. Now, he does have the odd good take. He has had the odd good take. He has. But he's still a fucking clown. Jordan Peterson was better. But Jordan Peterson has lost his kind of mind in recent years due to basically being under attack 24/7 and being a good person. I believe Jordan Peterson is the only one of these guys I actually liked. He's a decent guy. He's strong enough to be a man that cries on camera. No one respects that. The left claims to respect that, but they fucking don't. They'll use it against him on a moment's notice if they fucking don't like a guy. They'll use that shit on a moment's notice. They'll insult his masculinity on a moment's notice if they don't like a dude. And the right wing never respects that shit. So it's extremely brave and strong to be open about crying on camera, and he's done it on numerous occasions. He is a sensitive, caring individual, and it's that heart that has led him off a fucking cliff in recent years. He's been through a lot, and he's losing his fucking mind. He's eternally online, and he's losing his fucking mind, and it's really sad to see. Don't agree with everything Caster said. He's very much in that traditionalist kind of mindset. The whole thing was basically pull yourself up by your bootstraps, do what people have been doing for centuries, and all the problems will go away. Like, no. Kevin Samuels was the female appealing version of Tate. Everything about his persona was curated to appeal to women. At no point did Kevin Samuels feel genuine. He's just appealing to what women want. The difference is, he'll tell women straight that they're being fucking stupid, asking for the world whilst giving nothing in return. He'll tell them that. He'll be straight up with them. But he still appeals to women. Everything about his attitude, how he holds himself, his persona, everything is built to appeal to women. He's not genuine. He only cares about your money. And then we've got Tate, who is every pubescent boy, pubescent boy's fucking idea of a badass. He's this brash, just shitty motherfucker that acts like he doesn't give a shit when he obviously does. Have you seen the motherfucker in his fucking smoking goddamn in a robe replying to goddamn Greta Thunberg? Like, when you hate everyone involved. It's like, the man's a cartoon. Like, I don't like these fucking influences. I don't like these guys. Peterson to a lesser extent. I actually quite liked Peterson, but I didn't agree with a lot of what he said. In terms of, I agreed with him in terms of freedom of speech, not his traditionalist stuff, but in terms of freedom of speech, yeah. Outside of that, the stuff he preached was basic self-help stuff that has existed for years. But I'm sick of the men's rights or the men's circles going on about putting on muscle, as if the only way to be a man is to basically take steroids, and that's what it comes down to. Like I know a guy that is involved in fitness and all this kind of thing, and he'll tell you steroid use is rife. It's everywhere. It's the norm. And he does not look remotely like a lot of the dudes that push, like, whoa, yeah. And it's because everything he's got naturally. He is not lacking in muscle, but everything he's got naturally. But he doesn't look like a PT. He doesn't look like a personal trainer. Why? Because personal trainers look roided up. I remember watching a video last year where they compared what bodybuilding was then and fitness was then, like in the 70s and the 80s, compared to what fitness is now. And at one point, they went on about Arnold Schwarzenegger and all this kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they use steroids, but they're not as bad as what they use now. That's how normal this is. Even back then, they did it. And it's considered fine in comparison to how people do it now. It's that normalized. Now, you can gain muscle and you can look good. And if you want to do that, then yeah, it's probably pretty healthy doing it. But at a certain point, it just becomes cosmetic. You need as much muscle as you need to live and maybe fight someone off. That's as much as you need to survive and to get on with your day-to-day life. You don't need this shit. I don't agree with the whole body positivity movement, which essentially boils down to specifically women, because they'll swoon over muscle-bound men and they'll shame fat guys. But fat women, you're not allowed to say anything about. Body positivity essentially boils down to basically looking like you'll explode if a pin touches you and you're a woman. That's a good thing. That's normal. That's healthy. No, fuck off. I was a fat fuck at one point, right? Being that big is not good. I was moving around like it was in my fucking 70s, in my late 20s. I had so many more skin issues. Like, my psoriasis I still suffer with, nowhere near as bad as I used to be. So many fucking problems I had that I either do not have anymore or are severely lessened. Like, joint issues, back issues, like, being out of breath all the fucking time. Like, not being able to carry much shit. Not being able to do much shit. Having really shit stamina. Terrible sleep. My psoriasis was fucking awful. Bowel issues. Of gas issues, the list goes fucking on. All of that stuff is either not a problem anymore or severely lessened because I lost weight and I got healthy. I'm more active. I do a lot of walking, right? Fitness is a good thing. Exercise is a good thing. You do not need to go to the gym. The gym is overrated. For some people, the gym does wonders because they have that competitive spirit and they want that community where they're going, they're meeting people, they're talking, they've got someone to compare themselves to. Some people, that does wonders. For others, such as myself, the complete opposite. But there is ways to stay fit. You don't have to lift weights. You don't have to do a shit ton of cardio. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to do all this stuff. But you do need to move. You do need to exercise. You do need to do something. You can't just sit around all day. I say this from experience. You can't. That being said, both the left and the right pushes ridiculous body standards. Right? And the left and the right push a norm that is unhealthy, that drives people fucking nuts. A lot of women have this massive thing with, like, we use Instagram as an example, but it's existed long before Instagram. They want the tiny waist, the big boobs, the butt that changes depending on the fucking season. You know, you look at Instagram models and they all look the fucking same. And I know they look the fucking same because there's a guy I know that is into photographing them, and he swoons over so many of them, and they all look the exact fucking same. They all have the same face, the same makeup, the same body. And they look like Barbie dolls, and it's gross. They're not remotely attractive. You know, like, but that's what a lot of women want, because they've got it in their head that that's what beauty standards is. What do a lot of men want? Yeah! Men want to be the Hulk. Men want to be Hulk Hogan. Men want to be Maui, whatever the fuck his name is. Men want to be these big, buff, muscle-bound Adonises. That's what a lot of guys do, right? That's what guys want, because we've been convinced that is normal. The media shit goes both ways, and it is effective. Body standards that are pushed on us by society and media are a thing. The left is right about this. Their conclusions are bullshit, and the fact that they're uneven-handed on it is bullshit. But they're right. It is a thing. It is a problem. And it does affect all of us. You know, you see this muscle-bound shit pushed all the time by men's groups, which tends to be more right-wing than anything. But this has been a long-ass video, but that's all I can think of when it comes to political and social issue stuff and things like this. People will be watching this, and people will be screaming, like, fucking alt-right, fascist, transphobe, women-hating, misogynist, and you'll have another people going, oh, fucking soy boy, communist, fucking, like, I don't know. What are the left-wing fucking, the right-wing insults? Like, soy boy, communist, cook, fucking, the Wojak. You know, that shit. Yeah, because I've insulted both of their sides. As I say, Shutterfire Otaku, like Dev, is probably the closest YouTube channel that I tend to agree with on a regular basis. I find a lot of left-wing channels, left-wing commentators, like, I'm not just talking YouTube here, I'm talking about, like, in general, all you see, from television to mainstream media to people you meet in the fucking street. Left-wing people are authoritarian, so often authoritarian, religious in their goddamn belief system, and just shitty. Right-wing people are authoritarian, religious in their mentality, and just shitty. Like, it goes both ways. There's so much tribalism. We've got to a point, as I've said, there, if one side says, you don't need to breathe to live, if the other side says, you need to breathe to live, the other side will say, you don't need to breathe to live, you stupid fucking enter group here. Again, the fucking electric versus gas hob thing is the prime example of that. Things are insane. People are fucking insane. Now, if you ever see me on Twitter, take it with a grain of salt, because I shit talk a lot on Twitter. I go over the top on Twitter. I am a massive bastard on Twitter. Take me on Twitter with a grain of salt, because I have a lot of fun just being a bastard on that website, right? Twitter shows the worst of everyone, and I'm no exception. So don't take me on Twitter too seriously. But if you want my opinions on anything in terms of politics and social issues and all this kind of thing, let me know. And I'll give you my honest opinion. I'll give you my honest take. And I'll be honest if I don't know. And there's a lot of this shit I just don't know, because it's way too complicated for me. It goes into way too many systems to me. And there's probably a lot that I've missed in this video that I'll later on regret. But what my aim is for this video is to cover all of this in for one video, and basically stop making a lot of these political social videos. Just focus on something that doesn't make me angry. Focus on something that actually is more positive. And I can still comment on this and other things. I might even make a few of these comments in streams on occasion. But my goal is to just fit it all into one nice self-contained video. I have this, and then I am considering doing a purge of so much shit. It might take a while, because what I might do is I might watch a bunch of them and be like, okay, there's points in this that I kind of agree with. Like the Milo Yiannopoulos one I remember quite fondly, because it's like, yeah, like I was really irritated with him. Like I felt so bad for his partner at the time. He just dropped him in order to follow God's wish for him to hate himself. Like, fuck, dude. But yeah. That's what this video has been. So if you've watched this entire thing, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you don't hate me, because honestly, I I'm not a hateful person. My opinions on so much of this stuff, I get passionate about this stuff because I genuinely care. I legitimately care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't get this so fucking angry. I wouldn't get this so ranty and passionate about it. And I'm seeing so much pain, so much hate, so much destruction caused by people who believe that they have the moral authority. And that moral authority justifies them fucking destroying other people's lives, saying the worst of them, and all this kind of thing. And this goes for both fucking sides. We're in a culture right now that is left-wing dominated, right? It's left-wing dominated, and that's why the worst shit is coming from the left-wing side. However, the right wing is not the answer. The left wing isn't the answer, the right wing isn't the answer. Lotus Eaters are a prime example. The cops. Let's get the cops one out the way. Right. The cops are a problem. They've always been a problem. They always will be a problem. We need the cops. We need the police. We need a police force. We need this. We can't get rid of them. That's bullshit. However, in the UK, the police often infringe human rights from a speech point of view. And in the US, the police often infringe people's rights from a aggression point of view. How many people do we need to see choked, tasered, shot, or beaten to death before it will get through you bootlicking motherfuckers that this is a fucking problem? People, dogs, black people, white people as well, dogs, animals. It happens constantly, all the fucking time. Almost every single day there's a new fucking example of it. It is, and the fact is that nothing ever happens about it unless there's a massive stink. And the left wing only gives a flying fuck if it happens to black people. It happens to white people all the time as well. Nobody gives a fuck, outside of groups specifically meant to police. Nobody gives a fuck when it happens to white people. It only cares when it happens to black people. Because that's what the left wing cares about, because of the intersectionality. Meanwhile, the right wing will defend them on every single fucking occasion because they're a bunch of bootlickers. The police are the authority, and the left wing only cares about black people, so the left wing are wrong. That's it. The police are the good guys in every fucking situation. Again, there's that tribalism. So once again, I'm stuck in the middle where it's like, no, the police are a fucking problem. They've been a problem for a long fucking time, and they need... The American police specifically need better training. They are trained far worse than any other like cop in Europe. They need better training. They need training that stops them being fucking paranoid of everything. And they need proper repercussions when they fuck up. On top of that, dispatch is just as guilty. There was a case a few years ago, a case recently of a guy that was lost and called up the police, said he was lost, he didn't know where to go. They asked him if he had any weapons. He was honest with them. He said, oh yeah, I've got like a mallet in here and something like that. Dispatch just told them about the weapons. They came up, they yelled and screamed at him until to get the weapons out. And then because they showed up and started yelling and screaming at him, he freaked out and they shot him. There was another case of a black guy who was working for the army. They started screaming at him. I don't know why they chased him, but they started screaming at him, get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. Every single time he put his hands down in order to open the door, in order to get out the car and comply, put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't open the fucking door because they screamed at him to put his hands up. But he couldn't get out without opening the fucking door. And then they eventually get him out and he throw him to the fucking ground. So should comply. He was lucky he didn't die that day. This guy broke down. This is a member of the fucking army, and the cops from his own country made him break down. The cops are a problem. Fuck the right wing, they're a problem. Stop kissing their boots all the 24/7. The right wing, more than just black people get affected by this. Yes, of course Black Lives fucking matter. But if you think it's racist to say white lives matter and the lives of everyone matters, then fuck you. You're the racist. Again, That's one thing I forgot about. I get heated about this because people are suffering, and there are problems in this world, and all the left and the right doing are blaming each other and ignoring the actual issues, because this side thinks it's a problem, so this side denies that it couldn't possibly be a problem. In fact, it's a good thing. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Back and forth, back and forth. You're right, you're right, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Every fucking day. Fuck reality. Fuck what the truth is. The enemy team has all the problems with the world. My team has all the good things in the world. But this long-ass video, if you've watched through this, thank you so much. This is going to be... The aim is to make this video my take on the whole political stuff that's been going on for years. This is it. The be-all, end-all. This is my take on this, and hopefully it's the only video I have on this. So I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna upload this probably as like pure on raw, no editing, and I'm gonna leave it there. I'm probably gonna go through as time goes on. I'm gonna go through my entire backlog. I'm gonna get rid of a bunch of videos. I'm gonna curate things. I'm gonna watch through a bunch of them, get rid of ones that I don't agree with, and just clear out a bunch of the fuzz, because I talk about a lot of this stuff a lot. I repeat myself a lot, and I wanted it all these topics just in one video covering a lot of it. I do not hate people. I get this angry, I get this passionate because I give a shit about people. I'm sick of seeing people fucking suffer, and all anyone can fucking do is blame the other tribe while defending their tribe on fucking everything, because that's just the stance their tribe takes. There's no thought that goes into anything. There's no care, there's no consistency, there's no genuinity. It's just my tribe versus yours. 24/7, and anyone that disagrees, you're part of the enemy tribe. Here's a dismissive label. Fuck you, you're evil. Over and over again. So, yeah. That's it. I've probably woken my neighbors up. It is late. I have done this for a long fucking time. Holy shit. I've got things to sort out. I need to get the dog's tea on, and I've not eaten in a while. I'm fucking hungry. Holy shit. Catch you guys next time. Hopefully this will be the only one of these I'll do. I need to stop making these videos. I need to stop repeating myself. I just need to do things that are actually mentally beneficial for me. So that's the goal. Bye for now.